Emotionally, what does it feel like to be here in Belfast 25 years later?
Well, it's a great feeling. Uh, I've been here many times in the intervening 25 years. I served for 10 years as the Chancellor of the Queen's University, have made dozens and dozens of trips here. So until I became ill 3 years ago, I kept in close contact with Northern Ireland and the people here. And for me, it feels like coming home. I grew up in Maine, a rural state, no big cities on the coast. We have cities named Bangor and Belfast, so the similarities are quite striking, and I always felt at home here and was always treated very nicely by the people here.
I talked to a number of people who said that when you were here as chair of the negotiations, you modeled a certain type of behavior, whether it was listening or demonstrating patience, that was very beneficial to the peace negotiations.
Yes, and I did so deliberately. I recognized that there were challenges to my participation. Some of the political parties were publicly opposed to my being involved, and that uh, they posed a challenge that I felt I had to meet uh, through fairness, through openness, through listening to all sides. Uh, listening, really listening, is hard, especially when it's over a period of years. But it's also a sign of respect. It says to people, I value you, I value your views. And so I did. I spent years listening, literally years listening. Uh, and I came to understand better what was driving them. It helped me in the search for common ground. If you listen long enough and go over these issues often enough, you begin to find maybe slight areas of overlap and possibilities in some courses of action, not in others. So I did the best I could to be impartial and fair. I had served for 6 years as the majority leader of the United States Senate at a time when the politics were quite different than they are now. Uh, one of my closest friends in the Senate was my Republican colleague, the Republican leader Bob Dole. Uh, we disagreed often, but we did so in a respectful manner. Uh, Before that, I'd served as a federal judge, and I had some sense of trying to conduct a fair and orderly process where everybody had a chance to make their case. And so gradually over time, I could sense that there was an increasing willingness to accept my participation. And by the time we finish, I think it's fair to say that they all pretty much trusted me and knew that I would try to do only what I felt was best for the society as
What would you tell the youth of Northern Ireland about how to proceed from here?
a whole. It takes a long time to overcome the scars of conflict. Before I came to Northern Ireland, I was involved somewhat in the conflict in the former Yugoslavia. And I recall visiting a town on the Bosnian border that had been destroyed in the conflict. It was half the population Serbian, half the population Croatian. The Serbs gained the initial military advantage. They burned down almost every building owned by a Croat. 2 years later, the tide of war changed. The Croats gained the military advantage. They did the same. And when I toured it, pretty much the whole city was a scene of devastation and destruction. And I asked the mayor, a brilliant young man, when he thought Serbs and Croats could again live in peace. And he said to me, we will repair our buildings long before we repair our souls. What is in the human mind and the human heart is the most important factor of all, and it's the hardest to overcome. But it can be done with patience, with persistence, with finding and following the right course. And that takes self government. It is critically important that the government of Northern Ireland resume, that the people have the decisions about their lives made by their own elected representatives. And so I hope very much that the current effort to resume self-government in a power-sharing government as contemplated by the agreement will occur.
When you look back on your life and your accomplishments, you were head of the Senate, which is a very important position in the United States. But how would you rate the Good Friday Agreement and what you did here as part of your lifetime legacy?
Well, it's important to me. My father was the son of Irish immigrants, uh, but he was adopted. He never knew his parents, and he was adopted by an elderly, childless couple from Maine who were not Irish, so he had no sense of his Irish heritage. Nor did I until I came here. And I think one of the great lasting benefits for me was that I hope my father's looking down now and smiling at the fact that I've gained some sense of the Irish heritage that he never knew or understood. Uh, I've done many other things that I'm proud of, most importantly, representing the people of Maine, the people I am part of in the United States Senate. I have a very large scholarship program for needy students going on to college. But being in Northern Ireland, serving in Northern Ireland, helping to move Northern Ireland forward is one of the more important things in my life.